Hey everybody, it's Doug Schauf with RE/MAX Oceanside and MakeMaineYourHome.com. In this week's episode of the Make Maine Your Home podcast, I'm going to see Bettina Blanchard. She's a professional organizer and a stager. She's not your normal, organize your closet type person. She specializes in people like downsizing. She talks a lot about the baby boomer generation and being able to downsize and organize all that and help make that transition for people. So it's really going to be a great interview, so let's do this. Alrighty, everybody, I made it over to see Bettina, and when I say I made it over, I mean she came to my office. So we're here at RE/MAX Oceanside. We're going to do the podcast from here today. So glad you made it over. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I love this.
This is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I met Bettina really just a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she was referred to me by a close friend, and just by chance, I think you worked on some clients, that I ended up, somebody buying a house, and you were the one that staged it and all that stuff. So she does, I don't want to say just staging because it's more organizing, helping people downsize, things like that.
Right.
Which we'll get into that in a minute because I want to learn a little about you first.
Okay.
So tell me, where are you from?
So I'm from Boston.
Boston?
Boston.
So you're what we call
from away. Some people would say that. Some people would. Yeah. I hope to not be, but
of course.
some people might say that.
No. So far, you're awesome. So, what part of Boston were you?
So I grew up just south of the city in Braintree. It's the last stop on the red line now, but when I was there, it was Quincy was the last stop. So it's been a while.
That's interesting. Oddly enough, and my brother who edits this will probably put something in there.
Yeah. You have relatives in Quincy?
My father lived in Quincy for a long time when we were growing up. We spent a lot of time. Remember, we took the red line up to Boston.
You kind of have more of a Boston sound to you. Or did you grow up in Maine?
No, I grew up in Buffalo, New York.
But
my father found his way to Boston, I'm going to say in the 80s, so I was young. So we used to go to Boston and Cape Cod in the summer, stuff like that. But he lived in Quincy for a long time. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Look at that.
How about that?
Yeah. So what was it like growing up in Braintree, Quincy?
Oh, it was
an interesting time then, wasn't it?
Yeah. When you say, the first image I have when you say what was it like growing up is me riding my bike all over Kingdom Come, because that's what we did.
That's awesome.
I mean, I didn't get a car till I was a senior. Mm-hmm. And I rode my bike everywhere.
That's so great. Yeah. That sounds like, that's kind of how
all over town.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. The kids, not so much.
Not so much now.
No.
Yeah, no. It's interesting.
They're calling Ubers.
Right. Yes, they are.
And we're paying for it. But they're calling Ubers.
Yeah,
I don't think legally Ubers can even carry under 18-year-olds.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
I think.
Yeah. My oldest is 11, so I'm not there yet.
No, you're not.
She took an Uber with me once.
Yeah.
And she thought it was the best thing.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah. But it sounds similar to how I grew up, too, because I think about that a lot. Like when we were kids, we were just like, hey, go.
Come home and the street lights come on.
That's what we were.
Yeah.
Street lights come on, you get your butt home.
Yeah.
And everybody, all of us.
So we loved summertime because, it was bedtime when we, finally made it through the door.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because we lived on the road to the Cape. Braintree was considered, it's on Route 3.
Right.
So it's considered the road to the Cape. Yeah.
Right.
So but we didn't go to the Cape.
Okay.
We went to New Hampshire, which is how I got to Maine.
Oh, you went the other way?
Yeah, we went the other way.
Yeah. Okay.
I think because my dad commuted into the city every day, I think he wanted a break from the traffic.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But
so rather than going down,
And UNH was too expensive, so I had my sights set on Orono. So
you did? Oh, you went to
University of Maine and Orono, UMass, and UConn had reasonable out-of-state tuitions at the time.
Yeah.
UVM, UNH, and URI were like, you might as well go to an Ivy League school, price-wise.
Right.
So
makes sense.
So I couldn't, so New Hampshire wasn't on my short list, and Massachusetts, of course, was, but I preferred to go somewhere else. So I ended up in Maine. I'd never been to Maine. It's like, and now I'm still here.
Right.
I never left.
You never left?
No.
Oh, isn't that awesome?
No, never left. I've lived all around the state.
Right.
and finally made it to Portland.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So, because you went up to school up in Orono.
I went to Orono.
Which, oddly enough, my father lived in Orono for a long time.
Yeah.
And my brother went to Orono.
Yeah.
So,
You know, it's
there's a lot of
good
connections
school.
here.
Hey, apparently.
Yeah. What'd you study?
I studied agricultural and resource economics.
Interesting.
I know, huh?
What was your goals at that point? Were you like, what did you want to do?
You know, how do you know what you want to do when you're 17 years old? I
That's a good
tripped
point.
over a UMO.
Oh, just party.
And I didn't even think that, but not that I didn't, but I didn't think it.
Right.
I came, but I was definitely going to college. There was no, like, that was the next step
Right.
to growing up.
Yeah, sure.
And I was not going to stay at home.
Right.
Like, all that's happening now.
You're out of here.
That was my ticket, man. I was taking it.
Yeah.
I was ready to go. You
That's
know,
funny.
my parents raised me to want to go to college, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
I came across a UMO catalog, and I don't know, I was just flipping through it, and they had this degree program called Agricultural and Resource Economics, and I thought, wow, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Seriously. I got early acceptance because nobody applied to that program early that weren't farmers, so all my classmates were some notables in my class. Okay. So Harry Ricker from Ricker Hill Orchards was in my class. Marcia Knight from Smiling Hill Farm and Hillside Lumber.
Okay.
Gary Sukeforth from Suki Kennels. Who else? There were a few. Like I had some.
Bettina Blanchard.
And Bettina Blanchard. So, no, he wasn't an ag student, but Pape. What's his name? I can't remember his name. The Pape dealership. Yeah, I forget his name. But anyway, they were like, that's
in that program.
Isn't that something? Pape was the only one that wasn't, but the other guys were.
So that was like literally just out of a brochure. You said, "Hey, that's what I want to do," and you never changed your major.
And I didn't change my major. Isn't that like?
Isn't that awesome?
So then what kept me here? So when you start off on something like that, everybody takes the same, sociology.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I got a D in Bio 1. That was
my
my worst class.
Yeah.
But when I started to get into it, I loved it. I just loved it. So I did an internship with the Maine Department of Agriculture when I was a junior. So from the end of my sophomore year, so all the way through my junior year to the second semester junior year, and then senior year, I was actually back on campus. But my internship was like almost a year long.
Wow.
And I loved it. So Department of Agriculture, I had a great experience. I met some really incredible people I still am in contact with. I mean, it was sort of a game changer for me. And then from there, this was really cool. My first job after I graduated, I did a little bit of farm internship stuff because I was a girl from the suburbs studying agriculture.
Right.
But I went to work for the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association. Interesting. And I ran the Common Ground Fair.
Really?
I did.
Wow.
I was the first full-time director of special events. It was a milestone for the organization to have somebody paid full-time.
Right, to do it.
And it was really cool. And I was 24 years old, and
So how did that happen? Did that just fall on your lap?
Well,
you should run this.
So the guy who was my internship sort of boss was named Titania York, and he actually started the Common Ground Fair. It was his idea. Okay. So he was the first director as a volunteer. He was on the board of MOFGA. And then so it handed down, it grew from Titania, it went to Paul Chartrand, and then Bill Whitman, and then me. So I was the first woman, first full-time director. Okay. And I met, so at MOFGA, fast forward 40 years, which was a few years ago, not many years ago. MOFGA throws a big party for their 40th anniversary, and I get invited.
Nice.
And I show up, and you all have name tags, and the fellow who's doing the job as director of special events meets me, and I was a bit on the website, and I checked it out a little bit, and I said, so I knew who he was, and he said to me, what? Like, he didn't know who I was, which is fine. Like, he's like, what brings you here? And I looked at him, and I said, I used to do your job. I said in 1984 and 85. Now the Common Ground Fair is all about the poster, right?
Right.
And I said it was the peas. Was the second year, and the chickens were 1984 was the chickens, and 1985 were the peas. And he looked at me and he says, and he's like, we're checking each other out. He looks at me, leans in a little, and he's like, we're thinking we're about the same age now. Right. He's like, how old were you? And I said to him, I was a child. And I mean, like, seriously,
Really
people would
funny.
come up to me and say, I need to see the fair director. And I'd say, what can I do for you? And then be like, no, really. I was the Doogie
Where's my
Howser.
name badge?
I was the Doogie Howser of the Common Ground Fair.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's awesome.
So it was really fun.
I bet.
I for a long time, I would say it was, I think, my claim to fame in this lifetime. But I've moved on from that. It was my claim to fame for many years.
For that, yeah. How long did you do that?
2.
2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I'm a sort of, got to keep it interesting, got to keep
fresh.
moving around. I was young.
Makes sense.
I did 2 seasons.
That
and-
age, I did that too, and through my 20s. So,
Yeah.
What's next? What's next?
Exactly. But it was a big, I mean, even then, so 84 and 85, the budget for the fair was over $200,000. I mean, that's not chump change now, but then it was.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's great.
I know, huh?
So after that, where'd you go? What'd you do?
Oh, I meandered my way around. That was sort of the beginning of my nonprofit work.
Okay.
And so then I did some marketing stuff. I went back to the Department of Agriculture. So I was an intern there when I was in college. And then I went back and I was an intern. No, I guess it wasn't. I was a marketing associate.
Okay.
So I did that for a while. I worked on a farm. I worked for a recycling company.
Okay.
So they were bought by Waste Management, but it used to be called Resource Conservation Services. And I had a cool job for them. They would recycle wood ash from biomass boilers, so places that burn wood to generate electricity, and municipal wastewater treatment plants that clean up our water by getting all the biological nasties out of there. But it's fertilizer. So how can you recycle that? And in the right amounts and in the right situations, it was a great partnership. So I got to go back out to all the farmers that I knew, and I knew tons of them at that point, and help them navigate the path to taking these materials as free fertilizer, but keeping it all within environmental constraints. Right. So that was pretty cool.
That sounds great.
And then I went. Then I was like, okay, well, that was interesting. Then I went to graduate school because I thought I really want to be a nonprofit director.
Oh, okay.
So I felt the pull of mission-based
that type
work.
of stuff. Yeah.
And
so where'd you go to school for that?
I went to Antioch, New England Graduate School in Keene, New Hampshire. Okay. They had a Portsmouth site. It was 8 hours a week, Tuesdays from 1 to 8 p.m. Yeah. And it was awesome. I loved it. Loved it.
You did.
Graduated from there and started working. That was my real nonprofit section of my career.
Right. That was like, hey, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I worked for the MS Society. I worked for Youth Alternatives. I worked for Opportunity Farm. I worked for others. Yeah, and that's so it started as, just special events coordinator because I had a background in special events. I used to run the Common Ground Fair. Right? They figured I could handle a bike tour, or a regatta or something.
Like that. Yeah, sure.
So I did that, and then I got done. Then I was like, that was 15 years of doing that. I'm like, okay, and I'd be all right with I never saw another special event because they're fraught with details, and every detail has a deadline attached to it. Yeah. And
my wife's an event planner, and I see her.
So does she do weddings?
She does more corporate stuff. Okay. So like, what you mean? It's like,
but in the corporate world, Exactly. Oh, and it's never ending. Those deadlines, you finish the event and you have a deadline in 6 weeks for next year's event. Right. And you got to start getting the materials together. Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. After 15 years, I'm sure it's like, okay, I'm done.
So then it was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I'd heard that people were doing this thing called professional organizing. Okay. And I'm like, really, you can do that as a business and work for yourself? And so there were a couple other things I was looking at, but that's what I landed on. And because I've been helping people organize their space since I was probably 10. Okay. Because I have a brother who I love dearly. Yes. Love my brother. Yeah. He's a really smart, wonderful, funny man. Yeah. Yeah, he's cool. Sis, can you help me clean my room?
Oh, that's so funny.
And all you could see from the door was a path through the room. Yeah. Yeah. So I got started.
So you just kind of had that in you.
I have had that in me. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. And every place I ever lived always looked cool. Like people wanted to be in the space that you
That you
know,
made,
where
yeah.
they are, whether
Yeah.
it was a house share situation or I just had a room somewhere or,
Right.
so I knew I kind of had that.
Right.
And
So how did you come up with that idea though? Was somebody like, hey, you should do this? Or
no,
was
I
it
saw
something
other
kinda-
people doing it.
Okay. all
Yeah,
right.
I saw it being done.
Right.
But
And you were like, hey, that seems pretty cool.
yeah, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
So my business, so I've been working for myself for over 16 years.
Wow.
And my business name for the first 13 years, 12 or 13 years, was All in Place Organizing Services.
Okay.
Yep.
All in place.
All in Place Organizing
Okay.
Services. And it changed about 4 or 5 years ago because I had people telling me, you are your business. Me,
Yes.
Bettina.
Yes. It's your name.
And my
I can see
name
that.
is
Just-
unusual enough that it was sort of, it worked, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then I thought, and what I realized over time is that the jobs that I really liked were how quick could we get it done? Like, so you have to have people
You like
with a
kind of having
deadline.
the deadline from your experience.
Yep, and that sense of urgency. And people who are moved, so now my specialty, Bettina Company, we help overwhelmed homeowners
Okay.
who have too much stuff and not enough time
Right.
get their property market ready so it sells for top dollar fast.
Right.
That is exactly what I do.
That's right. That's your niche.
That is my
Right.
niche.
Yeah.
You know, and what I've learned, because you learn, it's like cool thing about owning your own business is you're learning constantly.
Yeah.
So I read a book a year ago called How to Build Your Story Brand. And this guy, Don Miller, talks about you're not the hero of your story. Your client is. You're the guide who has a plan.
Right.
And I read that. I'm like, and in fact, he uses Star Wars analogies all the time throughout the book and others as well.
Love
But
it.
you
Yeah,
would
love
love this book. Love
Nice.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, and he calls it the Sb7 Framework. And the thing is, the different parts of it are, so the hero of the story is your client, has a problem. They've got some issue.
Right.
They meet a guide who has a plan,
Right.
who calls the hero to action. You know, the Obi-Wan or the,
Right.
you know, to win the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to not get defeated, to, you know, so you're,
So
isn't
you're
that
kind of the guy
cool?
helping the people
So-
get to that. Yeah.
So, yeah, so, and I realized that, you know, it's that really, so you can so what I've learned about marketing is you market to a narrow niche. Market to your niche.
Right.
You can serve outside of your niche. So here's an example. I gave my little 30-second at a BNI meeting last summer.
Mm-hmm.
I did my little We Help Overwhelmed Home. And when I sat down, people were like, will you help me? I'm not moving.
Right.
And that's a fair question.
Yeah.
It's a really fair question. And what I've come to understand is it depends.
Okay.
The reason I help people who are moving is because they have, I'm going to say, something scarier than me hanging over their head.
Right.
If you're not moving, you're not as motivated to get rid of things.
That's
You
so-
want,
that's
you
so
just
true.
want to put it all away.
Yeah.
And really, what most people need to do, and I've got my own system for organizing. First, you sort,
Okay.
then you organize, and
Yeah.
then organizing is putting a system in place,
Right.
and then you got to maintain it.
Okay.
Those are the 3 steps.
Now let's
Sorting has to come first.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about all those for a second. So
Okay.
sorting, you're just talking about literally making piles of stuff?
So
Or-
we're talking about take any space.
Yeah.
It could even be a junk drawer. In fact, I urge people that are completely overwhelmed to start really small.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're there to help them, then that's different. But if they're doing this on their own, I can tell them how to do it, but I
Yeah.
don't want them to get overwhelmed. They're already overwhelmed.
Yeah, sure.
So first you have to sort before you can put a system in place. So in
Makes
fact, Cape Elizabeth, I'll never forget getting a phone call from a friend. And I had helped she and her former partner organize their house. They had moved in, they wanted to, so we did it
Gotcha.
all.
Yeah, get it all set up right. Okay.
But it's hard to, people that are not moving, they want to keep more stuff, you know, then they're like,
I
I
totally
might
see
use that.
Well, yeah, it's easy to
And
say,
but
just leave it there, right?
Right.
You should see my basement.
Yeah, well, and you know, stuff doesn't, it's quiet.
Yeah.
It sits quietly in the background,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but do you want to pay to move that stuff?
Right.
So that's why I love people who are moving, because they will love me. At the end of the day, we all want to be loved, right?
Yeah.
And I am no different than that. I am in this because I love my people.
Right.
I do absolutely love them. And in return, I want to be loved.
Right.
If I'm pushing you too hard, you are not going to love me. Why would you?
Right.
Doug, really? You've got way too much stuff. Here's the example. I'm in Cape Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
So this friend moves out into a new situation, a cute little apartment.
Yeah.
And she calls me up and said, I'm ready to have your help. And I said, the deadline, I said, okay, are you really ready? Like, I'm about to pull in my driveway. I should turn around and come to your house right now because I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And she said, yes. She really had put her big girl pants on that day.
Yeah, good.
So, and Kathleen wasn't coming home for a few hours, so I had a few hours. So I drove to Cape Elizabeth.
Yeah.
And I walk in, really cute place. She had all these boxes. And she said, now I know how you work. And I've already sorted this. This is what I'm keeping. I just want your help putting a system in place.
Ah.
And I looked around, and I looked at her, and I looked around again, and I said, okay, not in this lifetime. It's
Right.
not going to fit.
Right.
It's that the physics of it are not, like, we're never going to get to the end of putting this away because there isn't enough room.
Yeah, gotcha.
So every organizing job has to start with a sort.
With a good sort.
What stays,
Okay.
what goes,
Yeah.
what lives elsewhere.
Right.
So she thought I was going to tell her she had to get rid of stuff.
She thought
And
you were
I-
going to come over and play Tetris and put it all away for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when I said, that's not possible.
Right.
And then, but I said, she's like, but I love my books and I love my technology. And I'm like, okay, so maybe you can love it, but do you need to have it in this stage of your life? Like, how long are you going to be here? A year or two?
Right.
Do you really need your literature books out for the next few years? Maybe you keep them. But she had eaves in this place, so we were able to keep, but still, even so, there's always, this belongs to somebody else. This just got put down here. Oh, I can't find the match to that. These don't fit anymore.
Moved this 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's always stuff to go away, and I like to think in the rule of thirds. Roughly, a third you're done with, a third just got put down here for now. You're keeping it. It has value, but it doesn't belong here.
Right.
And then you're left with the third that now we can put a system in place because we have a reasonable amount of stuff. Doesn't that make sense?
It makes total sense. Absolutely. So when you get to the organizing phase, then
you're using a different part of your.
Right. It's much easier when it's sorted properly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Now, as your service, do you take stuff to the dump for people, or do you hire somebody?
I do not leave piles behind unless I have to.
Right.
So I drive a Ford Transit Connect van because you can put a lot in it. I mean, I used to fit it all in a Subaru, but now I'm biggie sized. Yeah.
Those things are cool.
They are. Yeah. You can also camp in it. We do that too. So I do the Goodwill runs.
Okay.
I do that, and I am for anything that helps people let go of stuff. So and when I've come to learn over doing this for 16 years, baby boomers have more trouble than anyone letting go of stuff. And I'm like, hello, gray hair, I'm a baby boomer, okay? Now I'm on the tail end.
You hear that, Mom?
Yeah, right.
Get with it.
Right, exactly. Well, but here's the thing. Baby boomers grew up, they're programmed to keep things because we grew up hearing they don't make it like this anymore.
Right.
You can never have too many of these.
Right.
You ready? I paid good money for that.
Yep.
And
it's still worth something.
This will be useful someday.
Right.
As reasons to keep things we don't even use or love.
Right. Yeah.
We
things
grew
you
up
haven't
hearing
thought
that.
of for years and years.
And we're sorting. And these are the reasons to keep things that are broken, obsolete, and redundant. Are you kidding me? That's the tip of the iceberg. Baby boomers' roots run deep in the keeping of things. Right. We're the keeper of the family heirlooms. We grew up with parents that had china and silver. Do we use china and silver? Most of us not. It rarely, if ever.
Yeah.
But we're inheriting all our parents' stuff.
Right.
And they don't make it like this anymore.
Is that stuff worth anything?
Well, supply and demand says not so much.
Because I've heard a lot of that stuff is just in recent years
because
because
the millennials don't want it, the Gen Xers don't want it. Our lives are different. Our lives are different. My baby boomer life is different than my parents' life.
Right.
So, but we had many of us had siblings, had multiple siblings. Right. So 2 things go along with that. Number one is, you do not touch your sibling stuff. Okay? And if your parents didn't enforce that rule, your sibling did.
Right.
Okay? So I'm going to come back to that in a second.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You are responsible for your stuff. Okay, so how does that play out now with baby boomers? I'm helping your mom go through her house, and there's a box. And she says, oh, that was my brother's stuff, or that was my aunt's stuff, and she's not here anymore, you know?
Yeah,
and I'll be like, okay, so, can it go? No. Why not? It's not mine.
Right.
It's not mine to give away. Baby boomers hang on to things for people they don't even love. And they hang on to stuff they don't even love because they don't feel like they have the authority, permission to give it away. I do a little daily dose of Life Simplified, and my one the other day said, in fact, my mother, she typed back, I'll tell you. The daily dose said, just in case you need it, Doug, you have my permission to give it away. And I got so many people emailing, thank you, Bettina, thank you, Bettina. My mother emails me back, and she's like, I don't think I needed it.
Or I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, exactly. She was not like, she didn't love that one. Usually she likes what I write, but that one, no.
Yeah.
But
I can imagine that's got to be some hard conversations to have with people,
And so think about,
See, that's why I hire people like you.
Right.
I don't want to have those.
No, you don't.
I gotta have too many of those anyway.
You don't, and people need to hear it more than once. And I tell people, you know what, I really am nice, and the awesome thing about working with people who are moving is if it's really important to you, I will just pack it. Mm-hmm. Easy, done. It gets out of it. So so I have skin in the game. When I am in a client's house and if they're getting it ready for market, I know what's possible and I know what needs to be done.
Right.
So I've got skin in the game. So I don't even want to spend a lot of time going down memory lane. I will because I love my people and sometimes that helps them. But sometimes people just tell me what's important because it's so sensitive, it's so close for them they can't even do it themselves. Right. And then in that case, I become them. Right. I'm like, okay, Elizabeth, I'm now you. I know books are important. I know never throw away a photograph. And I know you love all things hippo. Right. Got it. And then we just pack it. So, because again, I've got to sort. I've got to get things out. And the funny thing is, people don't know what a professional organizer is. And for years I've been saying I'm a professional organizer. So now I've now I don't even give myself a title. Founder and chief organizer. But that doesn't mean anything either. Yeah. Stager. And I never use the word stager because here's what would happen. They'd say, what are you doing? I'm like, I stage houses. And they look at me that are going on the market. So they sell for top dollar fast. All true, right? They look at me like, oh, I didn't know you were a stager. Do you know what they're thinking?
Interior design.
They are thinking, I have a whole warehouse full of stuff that I'm going to bring in to and I'm like,
and they're watching HGTV.
I'm not that kind of a stager. I stage by removing things.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because most people we can use what's there.
Oftentimes that's the best way to stage it, absolutely. Sometimes I'm standing in a house going, geez, can we just move you out?
Yeah. Well, and sometimes we do. Yeah. So I had a client a couple weeks ago who, pretty good sized house, knew there was some big antique furniture in there that she wasn't going to take, and it was valuable stuff. So she got an auctioneer or somebody who was going to take care of selling it for her, move it out. Yeah. And that left some gaps in this big room. And so the realtor says to me, I'm not sure what we're going to do with this room. Yeah. And at my first time through, they had a buyer. So I wasn't really looking at staging the house because they had a buyer.
Right, you were just
I was just there to help.
Let's get out.
No, I was just there to help the homeowner with her plans. So the next time I'm there, it's like, oh no, that deal fell through. Now we have to put it on the market. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a different set of circumstances. And the realtor says, I don't know what you're going to do. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't either, but I'm not worried. I'm going to show up and we're going to figure it out. Well, we moved a high boy out of the kitchen and we hung the picture over here. We moved her furniture around. Right. And
found the best uses for it.
You know what? I have to tell you, I think it's even better than it was before. And and she's still there. She's going to be there till it sells. Yeah. So that's the other thing is you got to kind of walk that line of this is,
I run into that a lot too. Like, well, I need that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. let's find a new spot for it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I love the challenge. I love that I can make it. I could just pack it.
Right. Question for you that just popped into my head as far as like getting rid of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Are there or what kind of organizations do you use to get rid of stuff? Like I've heard a lot about like there's charity organizations or whatever that will come get stuff, or I'm assuming you utilize any means necessary.
Whatever is important to you. So
Right.
some people have charities that are near and dear to their heart. There's one in Portland called St. Elizabeth's, and
Okay.
I've had a few people really love them because they don't sell the stuff. They just give it to people who need it, and they have like a weekly yard sale. I mean, they organize it, they stage it, they put it out, and then people who need stuff come in and they just get to walk away with it. So I love Goodwill because they have drive-ups.
Right.
I'm
Surprisingly, I was there yesterday dropping off some stuff, and
Yeah.
it's easy. Yeah, you just pull up.
It is
off it goes.
easy, and
Yep.
so I'm for any means necessary.
Right, whatever way
Yep,
you do it. Yeah.
yep.
Okay. All right. Good.
And
Excellent.
if it's near and dear, then sometimes we go way out of our way to make that happen. But again, it's baby boomers. Part of so I call it the baby boomers dilemma. The baby boomers dilemma
Yes.
is our attachment to like where'd all this stuff come from?
Right.
I can't let go of it.
Yeah, and I don't think. Oftentimes, I don't even know how it piled up. It's
Right.
like, oh my goodness, where all this? Yeah,
And it's not just baby boomers. We've done a pretty fair job of handing some of those traits off to our offspring, but I'm telling you, when I work with younger couples, or they think nothing of pulling a dumpster up and just
launch
clean
it.
sweep.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Well, I think also the baby boomers you're probably working a lot with now because that's the demographic that's downsizing, and
And they've been in the houses for 25
Forever.
years,
Forever.
and like the longer you stay someplace, the more you fill it up, and and a house can look pretty nice on a day-to-day basis and still have a lot in it, and you walk in and people are like, but the owner knows, and they're looking around, so the realtor walks in and think, oh, this is lovely, it's well maintained, it's nicely decorated, it's clean, checking off all the boxes of getting a house on the market, and you can't figure out why your client is like twitching.
Right.
Because they know how much storage they know the basement, they know the attic, they know the barn, they're like,
where the heck am I
and
gonna
they'll
put this?
exactly. And
Yeah.
what am I going to take? And what am I going to do with my aunt's precious heirloom china or furniture? Or it's a real problem.
Right.
It's a real problem, and I think the solution starts with understanding it and having compassion.
Sure.
So I've been doing some like lunch and learns for realtors. Really fun.
Yeah, it's great.
And I'm like, I want to tell you everything I know about staging, so you can be you can, and you've got to like I'm sure in realtor training 101 they tell this anyway, which is travel in the judgment-free zone.
Right.
But we all
totally. Yeah.
But you have to sort of remind yourself of that sometimes, because you can. Some of us can do that more easily in some parts of our area, and some of us. So when it comes to people and their stuff, maybe your house is neat and tidy, and you walk in and like you want nothing to do with a listing that is not ready to go.
Right.
Some realtors are like that, and
been there, but you got to we have to think it through. But it's good to hear like we got to make sure. Try to step into their shoes.
Right.
I know what you mean. Like they're instantly thinking, like, where the heck am I to put this?
Right.
And all that.
And I tell people, when you're feeling overwhelmed,
they're even worse.
they're like they are totally, and those are really like. So I want to give away everything I know. I want to get myself in front of every realtor that I can and tell them these are the must-dos. So I even have a list. I just did a nice new little email PDF.
Yeah.
So like, Doug, if you don't have a checklist for staging tips that you can give your clients that has your name on it, give them mine.
Okay.
Put your name on it. I don't care.
I'll get a copy of that. From you.
And
I can put a link to it or
and people need to hear things more than once. So
Right.
this is pretty soft. This is just mulch your gardens. Make sure you're I do it from the curb, starting from the curb.
Right.
So it's
The
all the
curb in.
exterior.
Yeah, sure.
And then I do an overall interior, and then I go sort of room by room.
Yeah.
And I mean that's a first step, you know. I've got, but when you know, so I really want to give all that away, because the jobs that I love are when I really need to sort of link arms with my seller.
Right. And just roll
And
up
just
sleeves
like-
and go.
Yeah, and just I keep, you know, I tell them all the time, it's all going to work out just beautiful.
It's gonna work out for you.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about selling a home, selling something you paid a lot of money for, selling something you got a huge investment in,
Right.
Selling something in
And
a
that they have
market that
tons
goes
of
up
yeah,
or down,
they have ton
or
of memories in. And absolutely.
and I'm okay with people being sad about it and it still being a good thing.
Right.
You know, it's if you weren't sad, how good was the time that you were here?
Right. Exactly.
You know, it's sort of
you almost should be.
Exactly. Yeah. And I bring a lot of that to the process.
Right.
Because it's a very emotional process. And
you gotta work around.
you gotta
and
sometimes I'm the general contractor.
Right.
You know, sometimes I'm hiring the painter.
Right.
You know, sometimes I'm hiring the mover.
Okay.
You know, we do a lot of sorting and packing, but sometimes, you know, if it's a whole library, you know, if there are ways that it makes more sense for somebody else to do it, I'm all about, like, I am, how quick can we get this done?
Right.
In the way that's going to keep...
Here's the deadline. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Not like, how long can we drag this out? That being said, I love it when people start early.
Right.
You know, you want to sell in a year and you want to start now? Awesome.
I can see that. Yeah, a little bit every month or whatever.
Yeah, and some people are good that way.
I have so many people wait until the last minute. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about selling for 6 months, but here I got 2 weeks.
Yeah. But you know what? On the other hand, you love that, because it's like, okay,
Then
a
it's
house.
under the gun. Let's
It's sort
go.
of like
Yeah.
like my friend, like, how serious are you? Because I'll be at your house in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
You know?
let's go. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm, you know what? And I do that all the time. I get calls from people, and I'm like, well, if I'm talking to you now, it means I have 5 minutes. You know?
Yeah.
Well, how long does it take to get to your house? You know?
Right.
Because that's, you know, I'm kind of funny. I like to be funny. You know, I like to have fun. I like to, you know, mix it up. But I also am testing to see what's this going to be like?
Yeah.
You know? And some people are not. I'm not for them.
Right.
And that's fine. They
Yeah,
can be
it
perfectly
happens.
lovely
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
I'm not for them.
That's,
you know?
and that's fine.
And I know other people. So if
Right.
I'm not for you, I might know someone who is.
Perfect.
So I had this other organizer. So I get calls from organizers all the time, people that want to get in the business.
Oh,
and they're
okay.
like,
Trying to pick your brain or whatever. Yeah.
I'm like, pick away, you know, let's have
Yeah,
coffee.
sure.
And then they'll you know, and eventually at some point I'll say, you know, well, come work with me, see what it's like. And they're like, really? You'll do that? I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have this gal, she has her own business now, she's got her own, she goes to her own BNI, and she's Trisha Scott, and she's
Okay.
Get Tidy with Trish.
All right.
And we had done a bunch of work together, so because I staff up for the job.
Okay.
And it's how big is the job and how tight is the deadline.
Right.
You know, and the highest and best use of my time is running the show.
Sure.
The highest and best use of my clients' time is making decisions, not executing them. That's
Gotcha.
what we're there for.
Right.
So Trisha's been on a bunch of jobs with me, and she was getting her new logo, and I'm like, this is great, this is awesome. And she's like, she says her tagline was compassionate organizing.
Yeah.
Now, she had done a lot of work with me at the time that this was all rolling out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is that saying about me? But she is
That's
very
funny.
compassionate.
That's funny.
She's lovely, and she's, you know.
So it sounds like you guys as an industry, it's almost like you work together a lot.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely,
Hey, I need
yeah.
this, I need this, you know.
Yeah,
Which makes sense. It's a good way to do it.
One of my favorite
Yeah.
jobs, in fact, on my website, I have this great little video interviewing one of my clients. Her name is Hope Jacobson.
Mm-hmm.
And another organizer gave the realtor my name because the realtor said, so we need this place done by Sunday.
Yeah.
And the organizer, I forget her name at the moment, but she's lovely.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, then you need to call Bettina. You do not want me, you want
Right,
Bettina.
yeah.
And so, sure enough, I talked to the realtor Monday. I met with Hope Monday afternoon, and we started on Tuesday. And we had that place ready for an open house on Sunday.
Oh, isn't that something?
And I mean, it was a basement, it
See,
was a
that's
garage.
that's my
it was
kind of
like,
whirlwind right
and
there.
it was
So
like,
let's get this
and
done.
you know what?
Yeah.
There was a painter who wasn't mine,
Yeah.
but I had like 4 people. So here's hope. And it's August, and they're trying to get the house on the market before Labor Day. And I like, she did not pack one thing.
Yeah.
She's a lawyer, and she understood that I was in charge. Okay,
That's
and I was like, highest and best
love
use
that, right? Yeah.
is making decisions, right? So,
Yeah.
but at one point she said to me, and I loved her. Like, we got along so great. Loved her. She said to me, she's like, Bettina. She said she had 2 boys, 8 and 10, and she said, I have to go to the grocery store. I got to feed these kids, you know.
Right.
And I'm like, I knew if she was gone to the grocery store, she would be gone like 3 hours. I knew she was like dying to get out of there.
Sure.
And I'm like, make a list, and I'm sending one of my people to groceries because I can't afford to lose you
Right.
for 3 hours.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
like, and so
Isn't that fun?
and she did.
Yeah. You go grocery shop. Yeah.
I had one of my people go to the grocery.
Oh.
It was like the Mill Creek Hannafords.
Yeah.
Yep. Because Hope was over in.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it was crazy, and we did it. And Hope like talks about the whole thing. She flew me. She was moving out of state. She flew me to Pennsylvania
To help you.
to help her
Yeah.
get set up in her new place.
Isn't that great?
That was like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that says a lot about you and your work ethic, your relationship with people. I mean, it comes out in your personality. I can tell that you love what you do.
I really do.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
crazy. Yeah.
So I guess lastly, how does it work? Like, let's say somebody's sitting there watching this thinking, geez, you know, I'm making a move. I got to talk to you.
Right.
How do they get in touch with you? You got a website?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah,
Website.
What's your website?
You can get there either way. My name, BettinaBlanchard.com,
Okay.
or Bettina Company. So I call my
So
business
you got both. Okay.
Bettina and Company.
Right.
So both. I think BettinaBlanchard.com is the domain, and the other is a forwarder. But
Okay.
and yeah, so you know you've arrived in the right place when you see a really calm-looking setting, kind of like this, only it's a living room.
Right.
And it says your boxes are packed, your house is as clean as it's ever been, and all you have left to do is pick a buyer from a pool of qualified applicants.
Nice. I
This
love
could
that.
be your reality.
That's great.
And it's like, that's the start. That's how you know you're in the right place.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and there's tips. Scroll to the bottom, because nowadays that's what we do.
Oh, there is. So there's a lot of tips. And all
Oh,
that
yeah,
stuff
go to the
on there,
bottom. I
so
have
it'd be
a
good resource.
homeowner's guide to selling well.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's on there.
So people can pick that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm assuming your contact information is right on the website. That's the
Yeah,
best
and
place
I
to get you.
love to do moving plan. I call them moving plan meetings,
Right.
and they're free.
Okay.
Like,
I was
get
just
me
gonna
in
ask, so-
calm, get
Right.
eyeballs on your, and I tell people all the time, I could just, if you're a DIY kind of person, have me over. But you don't really
Right.
you've never done this before, you haven't done it in a while. Like, and people take me up on this. I love that. I get to come walk through your place and give you a punch list. I'm
Right.
like, okay, this is what you need to do. And if you can
Right.
only handle a few things at a time, do these 3 things next, and then call me
And call you
when
to
you
do the
get
rest.
there.
Yeah.
Like, call me on the phone. Okay, Bettina, I've done those 3 things. Now what do I do?
Right.
And I'll be like, okay, well, take a picture of this and send it to me so I know that. And then, like, I can just tell people over the phone what to do. And
Right.
I love it when they do it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a gal last week. So I went to look at this place, and I'm like, this place is beautiful. And this woman was on it. I mean, she
Yeah.
was on it. I didn't think she needed me. The realtor did, and she kind of did. But
Right.
there were a beautiful house. There were 2 ceiling oopses, so 2 little watermarks on the ceiling
Oh,
that needed.
easy
But everything
easy
was.
fix, yeah.
But she was going to leave them.
Okay.
And then her laundry was in the basement, and the stairs to the basement, there was not a light, the walls, everything was beautiful in this house, except the wall, she was on a few things but the stairs to the basement. And I said, I would paint these walls, and I would paint the stairs, and the floor to the basement had been painted, but it was chipping.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it was red, and I said, and she had a window right over the washer dryer.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, we want to turn this from washing machine is in the basement to laundry room.
Right.
So I said, paint the walls. They were dark green. She painted them
Bright
white.
mob. Yeah, yeah.
And even without a light that made, without just the moment you open the door.
It's amazing how much that helps.
And then we got a painter to come in. Fresh Coat of Portland came in, and they did the stairs and the basement floor. Beautiful. I said to her, get a light for over the washer dryer. All she had was a one
of those, yeah,
bulb,
sure.
and she's like, so I got the light, I don't know how to plug it in. So I'm like, I have one, I'll be right over. She lives in my hood. So I brought over one of those little screw-in plugs.
Yeah.
And she and I hung the light, plug it in, turn it on. They painted the floor. And she was like, I'm telling you, it was hardly a job for me there.
Right.
The money went to the painter, which was where the money needed to go. I said to you, cannot sell a house with 2 oopses and a perfectly beautiful house. You don't want to leave that.
Right.
You know, we did a little work in the daughter's room, and then we cleaned. That's a
big thing, yeah.
Cleaning. If you don't do anything else, clean your house. Right. It wants to be cleaner than it's ever been, ever.
Right.
I don't care if you're moving out. People do not want to see your dirt and your germs. I want the ovens clean. I want the fridges, use a magic eraser sponge. I want the windows clean. I want the overhead light fixtures and the fans clean.
Yeah, sure.
I want the switch plates clean. Obviously the surfaces, the floors and the counters and all that, but...
Right. And that's stuff that you'll do.
We
well,
do that.
Either way.
Usually we do it because regular cleaners don't do deep cleaning, and commercial cleaners do businesses.
They just wipe things down.
Yeah, so we come in and we just
You'll do the deep cleaning.
We do the deep cleaning.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I love my magic eraser sponges.
Right. They are magic. Yeah. Well, great. This was fun.
This was a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
No, anytime. We'll do more.
We will. I got more ideas.
Awesome.
Yay.
Good. So hey guys, I hope this was helpful. If you have questions or want to reach out to Bettina, just check out our website. It's BettinaBlanchard.com or BettinaCompany.com.
Yep, either one.
Check those out. Either one. You can get it. You can call her, text her, check out our website, email from there. There are a lot of good tips there, all that kind of stuff. So enjoy and reach out, or just comment below on whatever you're looking at, and we'll comment back. Thanks. Have a great day, and remember, if you're going to make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.